They pull you in. And just when you start to feel safe, they push you back. They tell you they want you, but their actions whisper something else. Not too close. Not yet. It's confusing. It's painful. And it feels like love wrapped in contradiction. But what if this dance wasn't about you? What if it was about the hidden tension that lives inside the avoidant? When you notice the avoidant pulling back, your mind starts racing. You ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? Are they about to leave? That silence, that sudden distance, feels like rejection. But what if I told you that for the avoidant, it's not rejection at all? Sometimes, it's the deepest form of survival, because closeness, for them, feels like danger, not because of you, not because of anything you've done, but because their nervous system was wired long ago to treat intimacy as a threat. Let's go back to the beginning. Picture a child crying out for comfort. Maybe they wanted a hug. Maybe they wanted reassurance. Maybe they wanted to know they were safe. But instead of warmth, they were met with distance. A parent who turned away. A caregiver who was present physically, but absent emotionally. The child learned something that day. They learned that needs bring pain, that reaching out only leads to disappointment. So they adapted. They buried their needs. They told themselves, I don't need anyone. I'll do it on my own. And that became their shield. That became their way of surviving. Fast forward years later. Now that child is an adult. Now they're in relationships. Now they're with you. And here's the paradox. They still long for love. They still crave closeness. They still want someone to hold them. But the moment love gets too close, their old alarm system goes off. It whispers, careful, this is dangerous. Don't rely too much. Don't open too far. Don't need them. So what happens? They pull away. They go silent. They withdraw into their own world. Not because they don't care, but because caring too much feels like losing control. And control, for the avoidant, is everything. It's their safety. It's their oxygen. It's the one thing they believe stands between them and heartbreak. So when they sense closeness building, they regulate it like a thermostat. Too much warmth, they cool it down. Too much distance, they warm it back up. This push and pull isn't about you being too much. It isn't about you being not enough. It's about their fragile balance between craving connection and fearing engulfment. They live in constant paradox. Love is what they want. Love is what they fear. You can see it in their actions. One day, they'll text you first thing in the morning. They'll linger in conversation. They'll open up just enough to let you glimpse their heart. And then suddenly, they go quiet. The phone stops buzzing. The eye contact fades. The warmth is replaced with cool detachment. To you, this feels like whiplash. To them, it feels like protection, because their nervous system still doesn't know how to stay steady in the presence of love. Think of it like this. The avoidant has built a house with high walls. They'll let you stand at the gate. Sometimes they'll even let you in the yard. But the front door, the rooms inside, that's where their deepest fears live. And those doors stay locked. You might feel like you're standing outside, knocking again and again, wanting them to let you in, wondering why love isn't enough. But for them, letting you in fully feels like surrender, and surrender feels like danger, because if they let you in and you leave, they'll be shattered. So instead, they play the safer game, keep you close enough to feel wanted, but not close enough to be destroyed. And that's the heartbreak of loving an avoidant. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they feel too much, and their whole life has been about protecting themselves from those overwhelming feelings. That's why they'll send mixed signals. That's why they'll reach out, only to retreat. That's why they'll say they want you, but then act like they don't. The truth is, they do want you. They just don't yet trust that needing you is safe. So they hold you in this in-between. Never too close, never too far, always in orbit, but never fully landing. And if you've ever felt that ache, that sense of being almost loved, but not completely chosen, it's not because you're lacking. It's because they're still trapped in the old story their nervous system tells. That love is a risk. That love is a loss waiting to happen. That love is the very thing that could undo them. So when you wonder, why do they keep me at arm's length? The answer is this: because that distance feels like safety. It's not about your worth. It's about their fear. And until they face that fear, until they unlearn the old patterns, until they learn that love doesn't always hurt, they will keep choosing distance over closeness. They will keep choosing control over vulnerability. They will keep choosing silence over honesty, not because they don't want you close, but because they don't yet believe they can survive being truly known. And that's the paradox of the avoidant heart. It beats for connection, but it hides behind walls. You see glimpses of their love, flashes of tenderness, moments of openness, little cracks in the armor. And those glimpses are real. Those moments are genuine, but they don't yet know how to stay there. So they retreat again and again until the pattern itself becomes the relationship. Push, pull, close, far, warmth, coldness, leaving you in the limbo of wondering, do they love me? Or am I just filling space in their life? But here's the truth they'll never say. Yes, they love you. Yes, they feel it. Yes, they want you close. But their fear whispers louder. Their walls stand stronger. Their defenses work harder. So you're left dancing with someone who is afraid of their own heart. The closer you try to get, the more they retreat. It feels unfair. It feels personal. It feels like punishment. But here's the secret. Their retreat is not about you. It's about the war inside them. Because for the avoidant, closeness brings two competing truths. On one side, they crave your presence. They want your warmth, your laughter, your comfort. They want to know that you'll stay. But on the other side, closeness stirs up danger signals. It reminds them of the helplessness they once felt as children. It awakens the old terror. If I need you, you can hurt me. If I love you, you can leave me. This is why you see such contradictions. They can spend hours talking with you one night, only to disappear the next day. They can plan a future with you in one breath, and say they're not ready in the next. They can hold you close in their arms, then turn cold when you reach for their heart. This is not indifference. It's not cruelty. It's not manipulation. It's fear. Fear of exposure. Fear of rejection. Fear of being undone by the very closeness they desire. So they build a rhythm of distance. It's not random. It's not chaotic. It's strategic. Get close, then step back. Offer affection, then pull away. Let you taste love, then leave you hungry for more. And while you're left confused, they're left relieved, because the distance soothes their system. It quiets the alarms inside. It restores the fragile balance they've learned to depend on. But here's where it gets even more complicated. The avoidant doesn't just fear being hurt. They also fear losing themselves. To them, intimacy feels like surrender, like giving up their independence, like letting someone else take control over their emotions. They think, if I let you too close, I'll disappear. My needs won't matter. I won't matter. So they guard their freedom fiercely, even when it costs them love, even when it leaves them lonely. They'd rather sit in solitude than risk losing themselves in closeness. And yet, they never fully let you go. Notice this. They rarely end it completely. They rarely walk away fully. Why? Because you're still their anchor. You're still their comfort. You're still the proof that love is possible, even if they can't yet accept it. So they orbit you, never too close, never too far, always keeping you within reach, but never fully stepping into your embrace. And this cycle repeats until you start to doubt yourself. You think, maybe if I gave them more space, maybe if I loved them better, maybe if I proved I wouldn't leave. But no matter how patient you are, no matter how gentle, no matter how much you prove your loyalty, their walls remain. Because their fear isn't about you. It's about their past. You are standing at the door of a house that was built long before you arrived, and you can knock as loudly as you want. But until they decide to open it, you'll always be waiting outside. Now here's the painful truth. They do know what they're doing. They know they're holding back. They know they're keeping you at a distance. They know their silence hurts you. But for them, hurting you feels safer than risking being hurt themselves. That's how deeply wired the fear is. To avoid being abandoned, they pre-abandon you. To avoid being rejected, they reject you first. To avoid being exposed, they close the door before you can look inside. It's a survival instinct. But survival has a cost. The cost is intimacy. The cost is trust. The cost is you. And still, they can't stop. Because their nervous system keeps sounding the alarm. Because closeness feels like fire. And stepping back feels like water. But here's the paradox again. Once they step back too far, they start missing you. Your voice. Your presence. Your energy. So they return. They send a message. They show up again. They act like nothing happened. And just like that, the cycle begins again. Close. Retreat. Miss you. Return. This is the avoidant dance. And here's the heartbreaking part. It's not that they don't love you. It's that they don't yet know how to love without fear. They want you close, but not too close. They want your love, but not your full reach. They want connection, but not the kind that undoes their walls. They live in half love, half truth, half presence, enough to keep you tied to them, but not enough to truly let you in. And this is why you often feel like you're chasing a shadow, holding onto something you can never fully grasp. Because you're holding onto someone who has one foot in love and one foot in fear. Someone who longs for intimacy, but only on their terms. Someone who thinks safety means distance, even when it costs them the very love they want. And that is the hidden tragedy of the avoidant heart. You've probably noticed the push and pull. One moment, they're leaning in. The next, they're pulling away. One day, they tell you how much you mean. The next, they act like you're asking for too much. This leaves you spinning, doubting, questioning, hurting, because love, to you, means closeness. It means sharing your world. It means honesty, openness, commitment. But to them, closeness feels like a trap. It's not that they don't want you. They do. It's not that they don't feel. They feel deeply. It's that the closer they get, the louder the alarm inside rings. Imagine this. For you, intimacy is a warm blanket. For them, intimacy is a burning flame. It gives light. It gives warmth. But if they get too close, they feel like they'll get burned. This is the paradox they live in. And so, they create distance. They joke to deflect. They stay busy with work. They focus on hobbies, friends, anything to prove that they don't need you too much. But underneath the mask of independence, they are watching you. They notice when you're upset. They notice when you pull away. They notice when your tone changes, when your smile fades, when your patience thins. They act like they don't care, but they care deeply. The silence you give them, it echoes. The withdrawal you show, it unsettles them. Because here's the secret. As much as they crave distance, they also crave security. They want to know you're there. They want to know you won't leave. They want to know that your love is steady, even when they can't be. This is why they test you, not always consciously, but through their actions. They test your patience. They test your loyalty. They test whether you'll keep showing up, even when they don't. And each time you do, a small part of them feels safe, but another part feels guilty. Because deep down, they know they're asking too much. They know they're draining you. They know they're teaching you to settle for crumbs instead of love. But they don't know another way. See, avoidance didn't just learn to fear closeness. They learned to survive without it. In childhood, their needs weren't consistently met. Maybe love was their one moment, gone the next. Maybe care was present, but conditional. Maybe warmth came only when they performed, behaved, or shut down their true feelings. So they adapted. They told themselves, I don't need too much. I can do it alone. I'll be safer if I don't ask. That survival strategy, it followed them into adulthood, into romance, into you. So now, when you offer closeness, they don't know what to do with it. It feels foreign. It feels overwhelming. It feels unsafe. And instead of leaning in, they retreat. Not because they don't love you, but because love awakens the very wounds they worked so hard to bury. And here's the heartbreaking irony. The more you try to prove your love, the more overwhelmed they feel. The more you reassure them, the more suffocated they feel. The more you chase, the more they run. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because their nervous system is wired to see closeness as danger. So they push you away, even while aching for you. This is why so many partners of avoidance feel exhausted, confused, invisible. You give love freely, but it feels like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. No matter how much you give, it never feels like enough, because their wounds leak out the love before it can fill them. And yet, they keep you close. Why? Because your presence matters. Because your love stabilizes them, even when they resist it. Because losing you is their greatest fear, though they'll never admit it. So they live in this cycle, wanting you near, but not too near, holding you close, but not too close, loving you, but not in the way you deserve. And the cost? You begin to shrink. You begin to silence your needs. You begin to doubt your worth. Because loving an avoidant often means learning to live on the edge of connection, never fully abandoned, but never fully embraced. And over time, that takes its toll. It teaches you to settle for almost. It teaches you to live in half love. It teaches you to keep hoping that one day they'll let you in fully. But here's the truth. That door doesn't open with more chasing. It doesn't open with more proving. It doesn't open with more sacrifice. If it opens at all, it opens when they decide to face their own fear. Until then, you will always feel this distance. You will always feel the tension. You will always wonder why love feels so hard with them. And the answer is simple. It's not you. It's the battle inside them. They want you close, but not too close. They love you, but only from the safety of distance. That's the bittersweet truth of loving an avoidant. You've seen the pattern now. The closeness, the distance, the silent tug of war. That keeps you questioning your worth. And yet, if you're honest, you've stayed. Not because you enjoy the pain, but because you feel the connection, because you see the glimmers, because you sense the truth. That behind the walls, they do care. And you're right, they do. The avoidant doesn't live without feeling. They live without expression. They hide their longing in silence. They cover their care with indifference. They disguise their love in half gestures and almost words. But the love is there. buried, guarded, carefully rationed out, so it doesn't overwhelm them. And this is what makes it so confusing, because just when you're ready to leave, they pull you back in, with a text at the right moment, with a memory they bring up, with a softness that catches you off guard. And for a moment, you believe again. You think, this is it. They're opening. They're changing. They're finally letting me in. But then, the door closes again. Not slammed, not locked, just gently shut. So gently, you almost convince yourself it was never open. And this cycle repeats. Close, distant, close, distant, until you start to wonder, am I losing myself here? Because love should not feel like a constant negotiation with absence. And yet, with the avoidant, absence becomes its own presence. Their silence fills the room. Their distance shapes your choices. Their withholding dictates the rhythm of the relationship. So what do? Do you stay, hoping they'll change? Do you leave, protecting your heart? Do you compromise, accepting half love as your normal? There's no easy answer, but there is clarity. You cannot change them. You cannot fix the fear they built long before they met you. You cannot love them enough to erase the alarms in their nervous system. That work is theirs to do, and until they choose it, you will always live in this tension. But you can choose. You can choose how much distance you're willing to tolerate. You can choose whether love should feel like constant hunger. You can choose whether your needs are worth silencing or worth honoring. Because the truth is, love isn't meant to feel like this. Love is not meant to be rationed. Love is not meant to be earned. Love is not meant to be feared. Real love, healthy love, flows freely. It deepens over time. It doesn't shrink when you come close. It expands. And if you've been taught otherwise, if you've been trained to accept less, if you've been conditioned to believe that almost is enough, then maybe the lesson here isn't about them. Maybe it's about you. Maybe it's about reclaiming your worth. Maybe it's about recognizing that your love deserves a home where it isn't feared, but cherished. Because here's the paradox. The avoidant wants you close, but not too close. They love you, but not in the way you deserve. And as long as you accept that, they have no reason to change. But the moment you decide, no more half-love, no more guessing, no more begging for closeness, that should come naturally. Something shifts, not just in the relationship, but in you. Because you stop waiting, you stop shrinking, you stop silencing yourself. And in that moment, you reclaim what avoidance stole from you. Your right to be fully loved. That's the choice before you. Stay in the cycle, or step into freedom. Not freedom from love, but freedom to love without fear. Freedom to be with someone who doesn't push you away when you come close. Freedom to finally breathe in love instead of chasing it. Because you were never meant to live in almost. You were meant to live in whole. And when you remember that, everything changes.